Flash flood warning. When you get a flash flood warning to your phone, this means that flooding is happening now. It is not a watch. It means that flooding is imminent. So some ponding out on the roadways, definitely going to be a possibility, and do have to watch out for any high water spots along rivers, creeks. When the soil becomes so saturated just because they've had days and days of rain, it does act like a water log and becomes a little bit easier for the water to just settle up above the ground, and then it gets swept into rivers, creeks, streams, and of course some of the low-lying areas. So just be on guard for that. Again, that is outside of the viewing area, but that is what our concern was for this evening, which is why we did have that weather alert. Checking in on some of the temperatures out there. Dew points have been really in the 70s pretty much all day, exactly what we're seeing. So it has felt very oppressive and miserable with those temperatures. A little bit rain cold, but still 97, feeling like in Rock Hill, feeling like 96 in Lancaster, 95 in Statesville, and the upper 70s over in the Charlotte area. So got some rain cool there, but it certainly feels sticky out there with current temperatures outside right now. We are up to 77 here in Charlotte, 88 in Chester, 90 over in Lancaster, and 84 over in Chirac. So as a reminder, just kind of like typical summer-like weather, we'll see those scattered showers and thunderstorms until about midnight tonight. Once we lose the daytime heating, storms will lose their fuel, and we should see those rain chances taper off pretty quickly. So that's going to be the good news. Weather impacts, still weather alert for the rest of tonight. Tomorrow, still going to have storms, but overall a lower chance. And then looking ahead, of course, to that tropical activity that we are expecting. Do we have any live views that we want to show, we want to end out with?
Well, our bee friend is still there.
Yes, our bee friend. Yes. We also, Lily and I just learned this. We have windshield wipers on our cameras. And they did not like the windshield wipers that James used yesterday, which is controlled by a button. We do have a nice view, nice sunset view of the clouds and the storms that we've been seeing. This is from our Dallas camera, courtesy of Mr. Sparky over towards northern Gaston County. It really does give the bird's eye view sitting so far up in the atmosphere. So we'll end with this tonight. Again, we are staying weather alert for the potential of localized flooding. So far, so good here in our area, but we will continue to keep you updated.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us here for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We're following a few headlines right now. We'll just let you know we've got some breaking news that we're getting out of the town of Wingate, which we will explore much more in depth over the next hour or two. But we are hearing within the last couple of moments that town of Wingate has voted here, has decided that the police department there will dissolve. This was apparently a 4-1 vote. Our Tradisha Woodard covering that decision, that meeting where that was made, that decision was made. And she's telling us that now they'll be partnering with Union County Sheriff's Office in order to provide police services for the town. We had prefaced this headline here throughout the week, previewing the fact that this could potentially have, happened, and it did indeed, as we see here. It's come to fruition, but this is coming as folks have been calling for transparency from the town. They've been questioning the timing of this decision, and there's more nuances to this story, which our Tradisha Woodard will be able to explain for us in just a few moments. So bear with us here as we are working to get Tradisha here on Live Impact News. Meantime, President Trump is just now wrapping up taking some questions from reporters, and we wanted to bring you some of those answers here on various topics. So let's listen in, and once again, we'll get back to the Wingate breaking news in just a few moments.
It's obliterated to the point that it's not usable anymore. They'd have to pick a different mountain. That mountain is so blown up inside and so unstable that they would have to pick a different mountain. Our people really did the job. Yes, please.
On the fence, sir, would you fire Jerome Powell over the Treasury renovation?
Well, he spent $2.5 million building this place. I have to say this. I think he's terrible. I think he's a total stiff. But the one thing I didn't see him as a guy that needed a palace to live in. You talk to the guy, it's like talking to nothing. It's like talking to a chair. No personality, no high intelligence, no nothing. But the one thing I would have never guessed is that he would be spending $2.5 billion to build a little extension onto the Fed.
Is that a fireable
Nobody's
thing?
ever seen. I think it sort of is, because if you look at his testimony to the House and the Senate, you take a look at the testimony, it's under it. That whole thing is, he's not talking about the problem. It's a big problem. $2.5 billion, and that's $2.5 billion now. That's going to be a lot more money than $2.5 billion to expand, and with all of that to house thousands of people to give him information, and yet out of the 71 economists, and they included me and one other person got it right. I got it right, and one other genius got it right. They had everybody else was wrong. 69 were wrong, and 2 were right. I was one of them. And I don't have a lot of people. I have Howard, I have Doug, I have a few people. He has thousands of people, and he got it wrong. No, I think when you spend $2.5 billion on really a renovation, I think it's pretty disgraceful.
Chair, sir.
Have you spoken to President Putin since your announcement yesterday?
No, I have not.
Do you think when you speak to him on the phone, does he say that he wants peace?
Yeah,
What does he say to you?
He says he wants peace. He does. So far, it's all talk and no action. But, if you think about it, India...
Folks, we'll get back to this question and answer session with the president in just a moment. Meantime, we just got some breaking news into the Live Impact News studio. NBC News is reporting that Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, has ordered the removal of 2,000 National Guard troops from Los Angeles. And you'll remember that these troops were deployed in response to protests there in the city. Last month, the protests, as we've been detailing for several weeks at this point, because they've been ongoing, have been over immigration raids and immigration operations in Los Angeles and the surrounding area. Looks like Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell released a statement regarding the decision to remove some of the troops, saying, "Thanks to our troops who stepped up to answer the call, the lawlessness in Los Angeles is subsiding," end quote. There was an initial deployment of 4,000 National Guard troops. And once again, this is a removal of 2,000 of those troops. A decision to deploy the troops to begin with, we saw receiving some criticism, not only from the governor there, Gavin Newsom, who he said he called it an assault on democracy. He had critiqued the fact that the president had federalized California National Guard. And we had also heard from local leaders there in Los Angeles saying that they thought it was an unnecessary move, saying that there was not lawlessness as has been characterized by some in the Trump administration. But nevertheless, the decision once again here breaking this evening, the removal of 2,000 National Guard troops in Los Angeles that were mobilized there to respond to protests. That decision coming from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. More on that. Of course, if we get more information, we'll pass it along here on Live Impact News. We'll head back now to this question and answer session with President Trump.
Dying. We have 5,000, 6,000, and 7,000 people a week at least. And that doesn't include people from the cities and towns that are having rockets lobbed in there. I mean, people are dying in the cities and towns too, but we're talking about 7,100 in the last 8 days died. And I'm for stopping that.
On the Fed chair search, sir, is Scott Bessent, your Treasury Secretary, your number one option whenever Jerome Powell leaves? Or
well, he's an option.
Is he your top
and he's
option?
very good. Well, he's not because I like the job he's doing.
Right.
That's why he's
And
not.
he couldn't do both, sir?
I like the job. I don't know if he was on the plane. Was he on the plane? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. But I do like the job he's done.
Right.
So, in that sense, probably he's not that much of an option.
Right.
Scott's been great. He's been terrific. He did a good job today. He's a very soothing force. You know, it's soothing. All right.
Mr. President.
The pharmaceuticals will be tariffed probably at the end of the month. And we're going to start off with a low tariff and give the pharmaceutical companies a year or so to build. And then we're going to make it a very high tariff because we got to move them in. Look, there's two ways you do it. You make money or you have them move here so they don't have to pay the tariff. Those are the two ways. The pharmaceutical companies are moving back to America where they should be.
Semiconductor, sir, is that in the same timeline? The semiconductor tariff?
Similar, actually less complicated, but similar. Semiconductors and chips.
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why
I
do you
don't
think that is?
understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
Mr. President, a question on AI. How do you want Americans to think about it? Are you concerned about job loss or privacy, or do you think this is the new technology?
Well, it's interesting because we need jobs. We need a lot of people to work. You know, we're going to be building very shortly hundreds of factories, including AI. We're building a lot of car factories. They're all coming in from other countries now in order to avoid paying the tariffs. And we need people working. So if AI can help us with that, that's a positive. Because we're not going to have enough workers to take care of it if we don't create something. So whether it's robots or whether it's AI, we need somebody to take care of. Do you agree with that?
I agree. So many jobs to build. I mean, think about $15 trillion. That's 5 million people working in these factories, building them great high-paying jobs in America that President Trump has brought back. So those jobs, of course, are in the wings. So let's go, let's train America, and let's get it going.
What do you think what would you say about the job?
Well, I think with AI, as Howard and the president said, we're going to need more workers in this country because President Trump is the greatest economic developer that this country's ever had. It's brought back this record amount of foreign direct investment and a record amount of U.S. investment going back into job creation. But the mix is going to change. AI will take jobs away like software development because AI can write code, but AI can't wire a building, do plumbing. I mean, if kids go into the trades today, they're all going to be making 150 grand and they'll have amazing lives, build companies, start businesses. I mean, this is part of the boom of America because middle class, working Americans will never have had it as good. They have lower taxes, lower regulation, and more opportunities to go to work to build things.
We need people. We really need, because we're building so many factories in the country, and so AI can help with that. But what also is going to help are going to be robots. You know, the robots, I think, are going to be a big deal, and that's going to help also.
On the Russian sanctions, sir, on the secondary tariffs, are you concerned that secondary tariffs on buyers of Russian oil will hurt American consumers, higher gas prices?
I don't think so. I think that whole thing is going to go away eventually. It should have gone away. And Putin does say, oh, I want peace, I want peace. But so far, he hasn't lived up to that. So I think it's going to go away, but we're going to find out soon. We're going to find out soon.
Can you give us more details on the sanctions? Is it 100% sanctions?
No, I don't want to do that. But they're very biting, they're very significant, and they're going to be very bad for the countries involved. I mean, they'll be very, very powerful and very bad for the countries involved. And I hope we don't have to pull that string. And maybe we won't. We'll see. Got to end. Got to stop the killing.
Mr. President, were you frustrated today that the House wasn't able to move on that crypto legislation?
No, you know, the interesting thing is the 12 votes were votes where they wanted it to be stronger in terms of crypto people. I figured, oh, wow, that's sort of interesting, because I was focused really on today's meeting, not that. But the interesting is the votes, those negative votes, were because they wanted it to be, and the safeguards, they wanted it to be stronger for people with Bitcoin or crypto. They wanted more strength, which is interesting.
What do you want to refine in the UK trade deal?
We have a little to discuss, but the deal is really very well done. But I'll meet with the Prime Minister. We have a good relationship, and I think it's going to be, and it'll be very shortly, and it'll be probably in Aberdeen, Scotland.
Mr. President, at the event,
Which state besides Texas would you like Donald Sanders to gerrymander?
Say it again.
Which state besides Texas would you like Republicans to redraw the congressional
Well, there's about 4 of them. I'll let you figure that one out, but we have about 4 of them. In 3 cases, it's 1, and in 1 case, it's 2 or 3. And Texas would be 5.
Are you concerned California will turn around and do the same thing?
Well,
that
we'll fight
Republicans?
them. You know, they're so corrupt in California, you never know what's going to happen. But we've done pretty well in the courts in California, as you see. We're batting about 1,000, ultimately. We start off a little slow, and then we get a lot of hits.
Mr. President, you said today at the event in Pittsburgh that if it wasn't for Mr. Lutnick, Mr. Besson, who want to do more deals, that you would basically just go with the letters. You've said that a few different times. I just want to clarify. Do you just want to go with the tariffs and
No,
move
I think
on?
they would like to make deals more than me. I'm satisfied with, but they would like to make deals more than me. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he and Scott and maybe even Doug to a certain extent, you're more like me, I think, but they would like to make deals more than me. I'm very happy with the deals the way they are. Those are very, right? Those are very simple deals. It's whatever the percentage is. And we base that on a lot of things, including the deficit and, you know, various things. And, you know, I think it's a much faster way. Don't forget, we'll be releasing a letter soon talking about many countries that are much smaller, where you're not going to do letters per se. You might do an individual letter, but it's going to go very quickly. And the number will also be less.
Which countries are those?
These are countries that are, many of them, you know, like 200 countries. You understand?
Caribbean countries, African countries. We have a huge amount of countries that are small, and the president's just going to deal with them sort of the way he thinks is the right way to deal with them.
We'll probably set 1 tariff for all of them.
Over 10%? Over 10% tariff?
Probably a little over 10%, yeah.
15, 20?
We don't do a lot of business, but we do, it's still significant.
What about Israel, Mr. President? Is that related to your other, like the Gaza negotiations? Is that tied up in other issues?
No, I think Israel's going to be fine. We had a great victory with Israel. That was a great, great victory. What we did with the B-2 bombers and all of that. And I never thought of it, but so many people are thanking me. They say no president had the guts to do it because, this has been going on for 25 years. In fact, when the pilots came to the Oval Office, they said, sir, we and our predecessors have been working on this attack for 25 years. Have a good time, everybody.
All right, that concluding some of the questions reporters were asking as the president was on the tarmac following his visit to Pennsylvania for an energy and AI summit at Carnegie Mellon University. We're turning now closer to home to a meeting that's happening in Gastonia. This is the city council meeting. It is a regularly scheduled meeting, however, of importance on the agenda for tonight. Some discussions about the controversial cooling center. A quick background on the situation. This was a cooling center that was based at the old Salvation Army building, which currently is now operated by the city. Received some backlash after folks saw the setup outdoors, a couple of fans that were chained to essentially a chain link fence. And eventually it was moved inside with further discussions on the table to see what the permanent fix will be. That discussion is set to happen at any moment, but we are in the middle of public comment, and we've been seeing this coming up in some of the community public discussions that we're seeing being presented to City Council. So let's listen in right now. We'll hop in with any new updates.
I don't care what color you is, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, that don't matter to me. What matters to me is who's going to get the job done for these people, who's going to come step up and make the right decision for the people. We don't need people up there that's just going to raise their hand, oh yeah, I'll vote for this, I'll vote for that. No, that's not what we need. We need people who are going to move in the right direction for the people of Gastonia. No matter what race, no matter Democrat, Republican, Independent. Let's put all that to the side and focus on bettering this community that our kids are going to grow up in, that our kids are probably going to grow up in, and let's do what we need to do for our people. And one last thing before I leave. Y'all, there's 3 people up there right now. It's up for election this year. What do we want to do? Are we going to allow those people who we feel are not making the correct decisions to remain there, or are we going to vote them out? That's what matters. We cannot continue to complain about what's happening here in Gastonia.
Sir?
If we're not going to put out, like the song says,
Sir?
boots on the ground. Put your boots on the ground. Get out of your seat and into the street so we can make things happen for our people.
Next up, we have our committee reports. The first report will be our Finance and Benefits Committee report, and Mayor Pro Tem Dave Curlin will be the presenter. He is the chairman of that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Benefits Committee met on Thursday, June the 12th at 5:30 p.m. in the Spindle Conference Room of the City Hall. At that time, there were 2 topics that we've got on our agenda to include items 2A and 2B. Neither of these are actionable items. Both items are fully explained in your agenda packet, but in means of a summary, I'm going to just briefly discuss both of them. The first one was a final report on the review of the city purchasing policy and procedures. And we had 3 consultants present to us from Cherry Beckert and Holland. Cherry Beckert, they included Michelle Brooks from the Government Accounting Advisory. She manages that division. Mr. Paul Folkers is the Government Public Sector Senior Manager, and Mr. Jim Holman was the Technology Advisory Director And they presented this report on the review of the city purchasing policy and procedures, fielding various questions from the committee. This is in preparation for the second item, which is the Enterprise Resource Planning System update. Crystal Certain, who is our finance director, presented an update on this Enterprise Resource Planning System, which is part of a critical step to modernizing our operations, enhancing data integration, improving overall efficiency across all departments. As our business evolves, we require more robust and flexible systems that can better support operational growth, compliance, and decision-making. The city's current ERP is with a company called Tyler Eden, which is being phased out, will not be supported, and that's what got us to this place where now we're having to look at a different software to support these efforts. The city is on schedule to implement this new ERP before 2027, when our support will end. Estimated budget for the ERP update is $588,350, which includes licensing, implementation, training.
All right, we'll come back to the Gastonia meeting as soon as we see more developments on that cooling center or anything else of note. We wanted to get back to that breaking news, though, that we brought you top of the hour that was regarding the town of Wingate and its police department, which is now dissolving. Our Tradisha Woodard there at that meeting as that decision was made, as we mentioned. We are going to check in with Tradisha right now here on Live Impact News. So just moments ago, you shared that information with us, and also you were sharing what the town plans to do going forward now to keep folks with police services there in that community. What can you tell us, Tradisha?
Yeah, Vanessa, so the two biggest options going back to last week, the town leaders were basically saying it's coming down to manpower and money. They say right now they have 7 open police officer positions within the Wingate Police Department, but they're saying right now it's hard for them to fill those vacancies. And they also talked about the amount of money they're spending to actually fill those vacancies in comparison to working with the Union County Sheriff's Office, someone they say are responding to calls on this side of town anyway. But a lot of folks that spoke out against this decision talked about the relationship they have personally with a lot of the Wingate police officers, talking about how they know them by name and their family. So it was a really, really big emotional pull, but still town leaders voting to dissolve the police department tonight. Came with a lot of pulling teeth. I know that they made that decision in a closed session. In the midst of that closed session, there were 2 conversations happening, obviously one behind closed doors in the closed session and another one actually in the chambers where we were sitting. Wingate officer came up just saying, you know, we're committed to serving you guys regardless of the outcome. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. A lot of folks in the community raising their hand saying, so what does this mean? Do you guys have a date if this contract goes into play? When's your last day? Just asking a lot of questions. And in the midst of that conversation, things did get quite kind of heated because there were also people that were saying, well, you guys are not responding to calls. You know, there's a big concern when it comes to response time. So before, as that conversation kind of wrapped up and before things got too rowdy, town leaders did re-enter the chamber and eventually announced that they will be signing the contract with Union County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so we know that there are a couple of, I guess, layers to this story, Tradisha, because you had previously done reporting leading up to this decision, basically talking about, hey, it sounds like this could be discussed, a decision could be made soon. And one of the storylines that you talked about was the fact that there is an officer who's battling brain cancer who received a letter. And I guess the termination letter came around the same time, at the same time, where there was a meeting to talk about the police department's fate. Can you explain that further and why that sparked so much concern from the community and outrage?
Absolutely. So Eric Talon, he's actually at the meeting tonight. But so what happened with that is Eric was battling cancer and he was supposed to return to duty August 1st. He was cleared to return to duty August 1st, but he received a termination letter July 7th. That was one day before the public was able to actually talk about what was going to happen or the possibilities or the different options they were exploring when it came to the Wingate Police Department. So that stirred up lots of speculations. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are sending out termination letters. So was that decision already made? And you guys are kind of pulling our tails, making us feel like we're part of the conversation, but you guys kind of already made that decision a long time ago. But one of the biggest takeaways that really had a lot of people speaking out tonight as well is that not only will Officer Talent not be allowed to return to work, but there was also questions about his health insurance going away. There was also conversations about severance packages and if he will be considered to get that severance package as well. And from what a lot of folks were saying once they spoke to the chief is that he will not be getting a severance package. So just a lot of emotions pouring out in the chamber, a lot of speculations about whether or not this decision had already been made. He was there tonight with his wife, and town leaders made it very clear. They said it was not personal. They said they wanted to Talon and his family to know that they stand with him and that they pray for him every night and that they're not monsters and that they didn't intentionally try to fire him or they didn't intentionally try to take his health insurance. They're praying for him and they hope he has a speedy recovery. We also learned that he rang the bell July 3rd. So he is on his road to recovery, but you know, with processes like that, it's very expensive when it comes to having health insurance and a lot of the out-of-pocket costs. So without that, that was a really big concern, not only for family and friends and people who knew and loved him, but also for people in the community who are saying, okay, well, this is an issue. Why is he being terminated? Is it because he's sick or is it because you guys had already made the decision to dissolve the Wingate Police Department? So there was a lot of those conversations brought into the room tonight, but town leaders trying to clear up those conversations by saying, look, this has nothing to do with talent. We are not picking on talent. We are not we're not monsters is the verbiage he used. He said, we're not monsters. We pray for him and we hope things get better. He said, but this is not a personal decision. He said, the reason why we made this decision is because we want to protect this town and Union County Sheriff's Office can get the job done. It'll be high quality service, reassuring the community once again that this is the right decision.
So I guess I'm curious because you said that it sounded like there were police at the meeting as well that were reaching out to community members who were there saying, hey, we're here for you. We want to continue to serve. Does that mean that those officers feel like they're going to try to get jobs with the Union County Sheriff's Office? I know that's kind of a weird question, but what do they mean by the fact that we're going to continue to be here for you no matter what? Because clearly the police department is now dissolving, so those officers will no longer be there with Wingate.
Yeah, so there were some conversations about that. So I guess to answer your first question, when they said we're here, that means until we are told this is your final day, we are going to continue to service the community to the very end. I think that's what they were meaning when they talked about we're here, we're not going anywhere. You know, we're gonna fight, we're gonna still do our job to the very end. Now, someone did ask that question as well, talking about the Union County Sheriff's Office, basically saying, well, why wouldn't you guys just get jobs at the Union County Sheriff's Office, and then you guys are the handful of 4 or 5 officers that they're sending over here, then we'll still have our same faces, and, you know, it's a win-win for everybody. But he said once that contract is signed, those officers have to be ready to be in position, meaning there's a process for the Wingate police officers to go through to be a part of the Union County Sheriff's Office. They have to go through that, and by the time they're going through that process, those officers that will be in Wingate will already be placed. Oh. So it won't be an easy, smooth process for them if they want to stay here. Now, they can probably, if they're interested, work for the Union County Sheriff's Office, but the issue here was being home in their own community, and they may not get placed in this community if they went that route.
Yeah, really interesting discussion. I mean, was there a talk about maybe timeline? You know, is this immediate and the police department's done, or is there kind of like a ramp down time frame where it's like we're looking ahead to, let's say, I don't know, next month or whatever, and that's going to be the date?
Yeah, so that's one of the questions I asked him as well. I said, okay, so now that it's official, I interviewed one of the officers, said, okay, now it's official, what's next? And he said, your guess is good as mine. We were told our last day is August 1st. We were told our last day is October 1st. We don't know. He told me their chief of police will be leaving in 2 days, and another big leader on their team will be leaving in 2 days. I asked him about severance packages because I did hear that those were on the table. He said, now we don't know. We haven't heard anything. He said, one thing he could confirm is that he will be working his 12-hour shift tonight. He said, but he doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And they're pushing and hoping to get some direction from town leaders over the next couple of days to know what's next. So he just told me, I'm as clueless as you. We don't know when our last day is. It could be tomorrow. It could be next month. He said, right now, we're just taking it a day at a time until we get some more direction from town leaders.
Wow. All right. Tradisha Woodard, thanks so much for your reporting. I know you'll be putting together a piece for us tonight at 11 for WCNC Plus in our regular late evening newscast. Keep us posted if you learn anything new. I know there are a lot of questions still up in the air. Maybe follow-up pieces in the days to come. Who knows? It's been a saga, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right, Tradisha.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here on Live Impact News. And of course, we'll see you at 11 for your update. Folks, we've talked about this evening how we're weather aware, so we're going to turn from one chat to another. We're turning the page to what the activity looks like right now for our area on the radar. We've got meteorologist Becca Birdsall joining us here in the Live Impact News studio. What's it looking like out there? I know flash flooding was a concern for folks.
Yeah, thankfully flooding hasn't been too much of an issue. So far so good in that territory. We did have one flood advisory that was issued mainly for nuisance flooding by the National Weather Service up over towards Rowan County near Salisbury, but that cell has drifted off to the east, thankfully. Now, what we are looking at now is that our latest update is going to be that new severe thunderstorm warning that we do have over towards Iredell County. But of course, we are weather alert for these reasons. Heavy rainfall that could lead to some localized flash flooding and a little bit more widespread than what we typically see for that summer-like pattern. Also, because there's so much moisture out there with the dew points in the lower to middle 70s, also could produce pretty heavy rainfall rates with any thunderstorm that does develop. So out and about today, or if you're just staying home, make sure to download the WCNC app and you will get alerts to your phone when there are watches and warnings. So excessive rainfall impacts most of the areas in the yellow to medium zone. That does indicate some of the areas that have seen pretty much the most significant rainfall from the past 48 to 72 hours, indicating that soils are saturated in and around those areas, can make it easier for flooding to occur. So Doppler radar right now, we've got pretty sporadic scattered thunderstorms across much of the area. That cell that we had over towards Mecklenburg County has weakened out considerably. Right now, the biggest weather impact we have across the area is going to be this severe thunderstorm warning. That is over towards the northern half of Iredell County. And this is tagged by the National Weather Service to have wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour, as well as up to quarter-sized hail with this system. In addition, you can see the lightning, frequent lightning with this system, as well as really intense rainfall rates with this as well. So I want to see if we can actually put a loop on it. And you can see this is a loop from the past hour, I believe, and it has not moved from the same spot. So when we talk about the potential for thunderstorms that just don't move in a spot or move very slowly, this is exactly what we're talking about and why we are weather alert in the first place. A couple hours ago, we did have this strong thunderstorm over towards Gaston and Mecklenburg County. It is weakened out considerably, but it is still lightly raining for the northern half of Charlotte, basically from the I-85 corridor up to the north. Doppler radar showing a couple of storms that are starting to fizzle out over towards Monroe, Wadesboro, Rockingham, and the southern half of Chesterfield County. So that is going to be actually pretty good news. And then a little bit further up north of Charlotte, higher in elevation, Hickory, just south of it, that cell is also weakening out over towards Claremont, Sherrills Ford. Really, the ongoing flooding concerns that we've been seeing have been east of Charlotte. So this is over towards Greensboro, where there are active flash flood warnings, and that continues into Burlington. This is just west of Durham, so in between Winston-Salem and Durham, where we are seeing ongoing flash flooding. So when you have a flash flood warning, that does mean that flooding is imminent, and that was the concern going into tonight. I believe this is now the third flash flood warning that Greensboro has had since the weekend. So the ground is super saturated, acts like a water log when you get additional rain on top of that, and does flow into the streams and creeks. So do be aware, if you know anybody up towards that area, of any high water around that spot. Satellite radar, you can see just how active and sporadic these showers and thunderstorms will be. We'll likely continue that until about midnight tonight. So holding on to about a 40 to 50% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially in the areas that have not seen anything for today, with the rain chances tapering off till about midnight tonight. You can see more action continues over the next couple of hours, eventually fizzling out. A few areas of patchy dense fog to start off your Wednesday. And guess what? We've got more storm chances in this upcoming forecast. In fact, daily through the weekend. The thing about Wednesday, though, is there's not going to be nearly as much moisture. So a strong thunderstorm may develop, but it's going to be sporadic and not nearly as widespread as what we've been seeing. So that flooding concern is just not going to be as ample as what we are seeing for today. And we'll do it all again for Thursday and Friday as well, overall with a lower coverage. So storm impacts today, going to be weather alert until midnight, heavy rainfall and flash flooding. So keep an eye, of course, on that WCNC radar as we anticipate these thunderstorms to continue over the next couple of hours.
So Becca, we know that you'll be popping in periodically throughout the evening just to make sure folks are staying very most up to date on the activity tonight. I am curious because I know, at the start of the day, we had talked about the fact that these thunderstorms moving so slowly would be what is creating the issue. Like if you get the storm over your place and it's sitting there, do you feel like at this point, now that we start to see these storms in motion, that they're moving faster or slower than what we initially thought? Do you feel like we're heading in a good direction, I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, here's the thing. We have not seen any flood warnings in our area so far yet. But what we've been seeing on radar over the past couple of hours is just these storms won't budge for an hour, hour and a half, but eventually they do lose their strength. So that's the good news that I have going forward. I wouldn't say we're totally out of the woods yet. Some of the thunderstorms that we were seeing over towards Iredell County, where we do have that severe thunderstorm warning, it had basically parked itself over there over the past half hour. So we'll be looking to see if it continues its strength and intensity while it still sits over the same spot. But most of these storms have been fizzling out within an hour and a half. So something that we'll be watching for in the next update.
Yeah, hopefully some good news as we go on throughout the evening, but I know you'll be here to keep us posted, so thank you, Becca.
Of course.
We'll see you again in just a little bit here on Live Impact News. So folks, stay tuned for that. As promised, we want to get back to the Gastonia City Council discussion. We had mentioned, in addition to other items of importance, there is set to be a discussion about the controversial cooling center for folks who are unhoused and folks who are at risk of heat concerns during the summer. So we know that's coming up. Just to kind of give you a little background on one of the items that we are seeing, that exact address where the current cooling center is, that old Salvation Army building, that is on the agenda. Looks like it's being discussed right now as potential adult recreation center. So if you hear that discussion about 107 Broad Street, I believe is the full address, South Broad, I believe. There you go, South Broad. That is the Salvation Army building in question. So let's listen in right now.
Looking at this proposed. Now, the major problem I have is that we haven't voted on it, and y'all already didn't spend $25,000. No, I'm just saying, I'm looking at your proposal. So money has already been spent on something this council did not even approve. What? Who approved spending this money on something we have not even voted on? No. So the question is for Tripp.
I would like to answer it, if possible.
No, I'm asking Tripp. No, I'm right here.
I think it was to stabilize the building. Whether you was asking him or not, we had to stabilize the building. We had a roof leak. We had mold. We had fleas. We had all kind of stuff that we had to clean. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. It was that that's what we had to do. So the money that we spent was to just stabilize the building.
Got you. I got you. So now the ARC. We're looking at a Salvation Army building that was built for housing the unhoused. I just listened to some senior citizens. We haven't even taken this to the senior board, and they're saying, pickleball. Well, I'm going to say this. Everything that's in this presentation, y'all can do over at Bradley Center. Because what I just heard, that y'all maximizing all community centers. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I done done my homework. And there's not one community center that's maxed out during the day when they have been doing all of their activities. Pickleball, those ceilings are not even high enough. And everything that I'm hearing from you is games, bingo, knitting, sewing. All of that can be done at all of our community park and recreation centers. We have room. They playing pickleball right now, correct, at the Irwin Center?
Yes, on Wednesday mornings.
Wednesday mornings, because ain't nothing been done on Wednesday. Bradley Center, what's being done? We got the director right here. Mr. George, can you come up here, please? Wait a minute, I'm asking questions.
I understand, but this is my report.
I understand that. I'm
facility-
asking questions.
But this is the facilities committee report.
I understand
So we need to direct any questions that we have to the folks who have made the presentations.
I'm asking the questions.
I can understand that you're asking questions, but it's not appropriate to put other staff members on the spot. It's not appropriate.
Well, let me ask you
This is facilities committee.
I understand
and it needs to
facilities.
stay focused.
He's over 2 facilities.
Councilwomen?
I understand, but what's on the agenda has already been presented.
I understand that.
And again,
wait a minute.
Let's not throw other staff members. Let's not throw them under the bus.
I'm reclaiming my time because I'm the one that's asking the questions.
I understand.
I'm not
and I'm the
interrupting
chair
nobody.
Of the committee. I'm the chair.
You're the chair, so I think you need to respect that I am getting ready. I'll continue my questions with you.
Exactly. He's the director. He can answer.
You're the director, correct?
Yes.
And we have a staff member present that I'm not going to direct no questions to. But at 2 of those facilities, nothing is being done in the morning. I'm listening.
Part of the proposal is to have pickleball at Bradley Center.
Why can't we have all of these activities at a center? Because all of them have not maxed out their activities. I just listened to them. They said this is going to be an interruption. Now I'm listening to the folks who's already at ARC telling us tonight. I got a good ear, okay? We didn't spend over $2 million on this Salvation Army building that was not in our budget. Then we didn't come up and made up this whole proposal, okay? And y'all expect me to stand up here and act like seniors love playing volleyball and pickleball. And we supposed to think that a committee came up with common sense space. The building is not even suited for senior activities. But you're trying to force that down, and I'm going to say this, not their throat, mine. But let me say this. The Salvation Army building is in Ward 4. I got a responsibility.
I'm just giving you a proposal.
I understand that.
It's not me. I'm just giving a proposal.
But if you giving the proposal, you need to have some answers to my questions. I shouldn't have to go back to this. You giving the proposal, so you are learned, okay? You educated, so I'm asking the questions. She don't want me to direct them to the person that's over activities, but you're his supervisor. So you should know.
Councilwoman, I'm going to call you out of order.
I'm not out of order. I'm questioning. Tell me how I'm out of order.
Councilwoman, it's Councilwoman Barber's committee report. If you want to direct your questions to her or to Tripp,
that's what I'm doing.
That is appropriate, but you cannot call a staff member out of the audience.
We are proposing that they play pickleball at Bradley Center and the other activities that we proposed at Bradley Center. That's part of the proposal.
I understand
You
that.
have the right to talk about it and accept it or not. That is what we're doing. That's the proposal.
I'm not finished asking my questions. I'm not finished asking my questions. So my question is to you, is this: all of the activities that's in this proposal, can they not be done at a park and recreation center?
Let me answer that question.
Okay.
We cannot think about Bradley, Irwin, T. Jeffers, or Phillips at one point in time. You got to think about all year long.
Correct.
If you think about the summertime, what's happening at Irwin Center this summer?
Basketball.
What's happening at Irwin Center this summer?
Go ahead, ask.
No, I can answer. You have a summer camp happening. You have Highland Fest that's happening. When you think about T. Jeffers, I believe, is running a summer camp. So you have to think about all year long. So in my opinion, it would not make much sense to have to revamp a schedule in the summertime because our seniors need somewhere to do their activities and what they do. You have to think about 365 days of the year and a place for the seniors all year long. Not just when you go to Bradley and it's empty at a certain time of day, in one snapshot at one time of day. You got to think about the whole year.
Gotcha.
Okay? 107 has space. If they want to do, I hear ceramics, which in the current building they in, if you on a walker, if you have a stick, I surely wouldn't recommend that you, if you depend on a stick, to walk up or downstairs or however the building is creepy in my opinion, and that's just my opinion.
There are dead people.
But you cannot, 107 Broad has the rooms and the space for they want to do knitting. That's important to our seniors. Knitting is important to them. Ceramics is important to them. Playing pool, billiards, whatever. That's important to them.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay, but we can't make it seem like, well, they can just do that somewhere else. When they may have to pivot in the summertime. You have to think about a dedicated, that's how I see this, as a dedicated space for our seniors. Then taking into consideration the other 3 parcels that we own in the area and the vision for that corner, what that could be. Another thing we've been talking about since I've been a member of this council, we struggle to get people to support downtown businesses. So as a council, we felt if you have people living in downtown, then those people living downtown or actively engaged in downtown activities or whatever will support downtown businesses. So if you have seniors who are in this building all day long, in and out, they might stop at the Young Men's store and grab them a pop, or they may pop in somewhere at downtown and get them something to eat. Again, you have a dedicated group of people who can support downtown Gastonia. So I think we have to look at 365 days of the year. We have to look at a vision, not just now, but what that corner, what that area could look like for our complete downtown, and find ways to sustain our downtown. Build in opportunities for people to want to engage in our downtown businesses.
And I think, let me just finish my questioning. I appreciate your commentary. I appreciate what you just said.
Councilwoman Littlejohn.
I am saying
Councilwoman Littlejohn.
Yes.
Council, we're going to take a pause here. Councilwoman Barber, I'm going to have some other council people ask questions since this is your committee report, if that is okay.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start with Councilman Kasupius, then we'll come this way, and then Ms. Littlejohn, you can follow Councilwoman Stepp, and we'll finish it up after that. Councilman Kasupius.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a couple of questions because I know Tripp has talked about trying to completely not replace, but move events that cannot be done in the building where the ceiling is too low. And you outlined that in your presentation. And maybe Christy can kind of help with this question, but in the RFQ, I know a lot goes into it as far as what the vision, like Councilwoman Barber said, it's not today, it's not 5 years, it's not 10 years, it's what that bookend for our downtown could potentially look like in 10, 15 years. And in that RFQ, is there anything in there that we could put where a future public-private partnership developer could build, along with the apartments, a facility that does have higher ceilings that may be able to have volleyball or pickleball or some type of gym, if you want to say. I know there's a lot of potential for the property, but is that something that's even possible?
Can I add something to your question? Your question?
Sure.
What he just asked you, though, is on this RFQ, can we not put in there to do a pedestal build? And the pedestal build will have the higher ceilings?
We
have
certainly are
commercial and
open.
retail on the bottom
Absolutely.
to address his issues?
We are open to however we craft the solicitation, and one of the beauties of doing an RFQ is that you get those proposals from a developer, and then you make that decision based on the proposals from the developer. So the RFQ actually specifically does mention 107 South Broad Street, 101 South Broad, 115, and 117. So 107 is included in the RFQ, so absolutely.
Didn't mean, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And then just to follow up with Tripp, I mean, obviously, there's serious issues with ADA capabilities of the current building. And we understand that 107 is ADA compliant and would be very helpful to our seniors, no matter what event or activity they're going to participate in, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and in your proposal, I know we had the yellow blocks and pink blocks and blue blocks, et cetera. And you mentioned in there the max occupancy of the multi-purpose room was 104. Do we know, and maybe that's something we can find out, can we make that multi-purpose room as far as tearing down walls to make it bigger, where if it's 120 bingo players, I mean, I want them to feel, our seniors feel like that's their home space, right? Just like your home office. They want to make that center theirs. They want to have their kitchen. They want to be able to cook and enjoy and have whatever events that they have. And not have to lean on, hey, is Bradley available? Or hey, is Phillips available, et cetera. So I get that point. That's their spot. That's their home spot. But is there anything in this proposal that could potentially make some of these rooms bigger? Because I understand it was initially set up as a shelter with multiple restrooms and multiple little rooms.
The current proposal is to use the building as is, but one of the things that could be looked at, yes, as part of the senior committee, that we could look at things like that, because the beauty of this structure is it is a steel building. None of the walls are structural. So all of that would be on the table. I think just the proposal is a diverse offering for everyday activities that, just like you said, it's their home. They can come there every day and they can do multiple activities in one building, whereas the current building we have does not allow that.
And I know some of you have questions too, but I would like to see more of that. Like, I know you just want to get it clean, painted, flooring replaced, safe, so that we can use it as soon as possible. But I would like to see, what is that, like we're saying, what is that vision moving forward? And then how can the private partnership maybe expand that whole block to something much, much bigger in the future?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I've gotten mixed reports as to whether or not the kitchen equipment is still present in the building.
It is not, but we plan to bring the kitchen equipment from the ARC over and make it fully operational with that equipment.
Okay, because I didn't note anywhere in your proposal any additional expense for kitchen equipment. I wasn't sure.
No, we have very good kitchen equipment at the ARC that could easily move over. Already has a hood fan that we can set the stove up, and we got refrigerators, freezers that'll just move directly over.
Very good, thank you.
Councilwoman Stepp.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to speak from a different perspective, because I'm the only one on this council who actively participates with the seniors at the senior center. So I think I have a little different perspective. Not that yours aren't important.
Because you're old.
Can you hear me? So I think it is very important that we realize that we need to have as much of the activities in one space as possible. Sort of like Councilman Consupia said, so it's more their home, their space. So as far as going to a lot of different centers, that's a horrible idea. Phillips Center is not even usable for seniors because of the way you have to get down and a lot of seniors get down and go to get to it. T. Jeffers, possibly, but not a lot of parking. That's not far away. Bradley Center's the best because it has the best parking. It has a little turnaround right in front in case someone would need to be pulled right up to the door for an activity. But yes, all those activities are important to some of the people. The knitting, the card playing, the billiards, the arts. And I think there's yay, an opportunity to have more arts. But my concern is, number one, we have as much as we can in one place, but that for me to move forward with this, I need to know that the other things that are going to be at Bradley are going to be, you said it, but I'm going to need to know that they are going to be protected times. That what can't be done at the ARC, those times will be protected. I don't think chair volleyball is going to be as big a deal because it's during the day, unless it's summer. But we need to make sure we have a plan. The evening pickleball for just the seniors. My concern there is, like I said in the committee meeting, is basketball, volleyball season. Right now the seniors only have one pickleball time. Well, they have the teaching time, but one pickleball play time. Can we add a second pickleball play time in? But I need to make sure that time is going to be a protected time, not like, well, it's going to be on Tuesdays for these 3 months, and it's going to be on Thursdays these 2 months, and it's going to be at 6 o'clock this night, it's going to be at 4 o'clock this night. Are we going to, I'm drawing this question out, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make my point that the seniors need to have that stability that these are our times.
All the senior activities that are scheduled at the ARC will move, that have to move, the larger ones that move to Bradley will be protected in time, and we will rework anything else around that. We will honor the times at Bradley Center. Now, this is a proposal, so we would still have operational things that we have to work out internally, but our schedule can accommodate.
Okay, folks, we're going to pivot away just briefly here from that Gastonia City Council meeting to get back to weather because, of course, as we've been mentioning throughout the day, we are weather alert. There are some concerns for the potential of flash flooding. So we have meteorologist Becca Birdsall joining us here once again in the Live Impact News studio. Thank you for coming back. How's it looking right now?
Yeah, storms are starting to weaken out. Still got a couple of downpours here and there, but overall, we're looking pretty good out there, and it was definitely a stormy end to our Tuesday as we take a live look outside over towards our Dallas camera. And of course, this is in northern Gaston County, and Gaston County got hit hard with strong thunderstorms, wind gusts up to around 40 miles per hour, as well as hail between quarter-sized to pea-sized as well. Now, that storm has moved off, and a beautiful sunset right now. Temperatures rain cold, 78 degrees. Dew points, though, still feeling tropical, 74, making it feel like 81 out there. Now, for tonight, excessive rainfall will still be a concern with any slow-moving downpour, especially in the areas that do still have that saturated soil, especially along and north of that I-85 corridor. So Doppler radar checking in. Of course, we had that severe thunderstorm warning over towards Iredell County that was producing around 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. You can see all the other downpours are pretty sporadic, and a lot of them have lost their strength. Now, I want to zoom in on this because that severe thunderstorm warning did expire at 8 o'clock. It is currently 8 o'clock, so that was not further extended. And there's a reason why, because previously, as we take that loop, had a ton of lightning strikes with this system, and it was basically kind of hanging around over the same area over towards Loveville, Turnersburg, Statesville, only slowly drifting up to the north at a rate between 5 to 10 miles per hour. So now, still producing heavy rainfall, but the lightning right now that we're seeing only about 13 strikes. So when we see that number start to go down significantly, that is an indication that this is weakening out, hence why that severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire, but still producing some heavy downpours along I-77 as well as portions of I-40 over towards the northern half of Iredell County. Checking in on Charlotte, this shower continues to develop over towards the metro, up down alongside 85 all the way into East Charlotte. This is fairly light and likely not having any big impacts out there. You can see the couple of sporadic and widely scattered thunderstorms that we had south of Charlotte. Those have mostly fizzled out within the last half hour. Just got that one downpour now north of Wadesboro, pushing up to the north slowly. And then north of Charlotte, we still got a couple of downpours between Cheryl's Ford, Maiden, all the way into Bellwood. About 2 hours ago, these were producing really heavy rainfall rates. So everything really starting to calm down. The biggest rainfall impact that we have is over towards Iredell County, and it's weakening out. Further off to the east, much more action there with active flash flood and ongoing warnings over towards Greensboro, Burlington, and now extending all the way up over towards the Winston-Salem area. So this is where that concern of 2 to 4 inches of rain that has already fallen, and that rain that only continues to fall. And of course, Greensboro is in that flood-prone area, and this is the 3rd flash flood warning that they've had since the weekend. Satellite and radar. Summer-like pattern continues across the Carolinas. Certainly not everybody got in on the rainfall, but we still have those rain chances that continue until about midnight tonight. So that is why we are going to stay weather alert. Dew points in the lower to middle 70s have just provided ample moisture and storm fuel across the area from the mountains into the metro. That's also what has made it feel so sticky outside for today. So while today afternoon we only hit a high temperature of 91. Yesterday we hit 98, but it still felt like the triple digits just because of that extra humidity. So hourly rain chances for us will continue with about a 40% chance over the next couple of hours, but these will taper off right around midnight. Futurecast showing a little bit more action, again continuing over the next couple of hours, especially in the areas that have really not got in on some of the downpours for today. Then by the time you wake up for tomorrow, a few areas of patchy dense fog to start off the morning, and then we'll do it all again for Wednesday. Only about a 30% chance, hit or miss showers or thunderstorms, and really overall not looking at a flooding risk, but we'll do it all again for Thursday as well. So keeping that pattern going. So for today, just want you to stay weather alert. Again, heavy rain and flash flooding, exactly unfortunately what our neighbors are dealing with over towards the Greensboro and Winston-Salem area, but thankfully so far so good still here in the metro.
All right. Hopefully it stays that way. So good.
Yes, hopefully.
But we know you'll be back to let us know.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Becca, and we'll see you in just a bit.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Let's go ahead and turn back to that Gastonia City Council meeting in progress. As we mentioned, one of the big topics, the controversial cooling center. However, other items are on the agenda, which we've been seeing causing a few fireworks during this meeting. Let's listen in live here on Live Impact News.
Dropped off, so to speak. Do we have a shuttle bus that could be available to take the seniors from this proposed location to Bradley Center?
I'm going to let Michael answer that. Because
I mean, that's not been
we don't have
proposed.
anything.
You know, we have a very robust microtransit system that can offer rides from their hours of operation for anyone in the city.
Yeah, that wasn't my question. My question was, do we have a shuttle bus that we could use to do this for our seniors? And I do know that we do have a bus. So I already knew the answer to the question before I asked it. So
Well,
anyway,
we don't have staff or
the
programming of that.
RFQ that you're going to put out there, Christy, you said it includes 107.
Yes, sir. I've got that included in there.
Okay, so we're having this debate today. 107 is the current building, correct?
That is correct.
So you're going to put an RFQ out there that includes that building?
It includes the property. I wanted to make sure that we were inclusive of the entire property in case anything needed to change or be reconfigured with parking.
So, as Councilwoman Stepp just said, I think maybe we need to table this to have further discussion, because if you're going to include that in the RFQ, then all of this is for naught, because if we're going to sell the property to a developer, there's no guarantee that that developer is going to keep that building. So I think we need to table this for now. Councilwoman Barber.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just going off what Councilwoman Stepp said.
Yeah, but I don't think that I've heard or read anywhere where we were selling the property.
Well, that's what the RFQ to redevelop.
Well,
She just said selling the land.
No, I think what I just heard her say, again, it could be shared parking.
Yes.
Or, shared use agreement where, whoever is housed, it could be an amenity,
Yes. We see it as a complement.
Yeah, not that the building, not that the 107 could be purchased. It's the development of those other 3 parcels. But again, it may be shared use agreements for 107 for parking, or again, it could be an included amenity for the seniors who reside in the senior housing
potentially
complex.
Absolutely.
Would have use of the building or something.
For example, we have a shared use agreement with the United Way parking lot, and this would actually butt up against that. So that's a good example of what we're talking about.
But when I asked you about the property, you said it was included in, the land was included in RFQ. So is it or not?
So it is included. We would get to proposals from developers, and then that would be our choices moving forward. And, our direction from you all would be whether or not to continue using the 107 South Broad Street as an ARC.
So we're having this debate once again, and we need to make a decision as to, because we did have to stabilize the building, because like you said, there's a lot of sheetrock and mudding and stuff and painting that needs to be done. But how are we going to move forward if we go ahead and decide in the RFQ to include the land?
Michael, can you share?
So along the lines of what Christy's trying to explain is 107's included because it's an overall property mass. It's going to be known what its existing use is and how it complements the additional uses that would be proposed. It's possible that structurally the thing could be constructed upon. It could be elevated. There could be apartments on top. There could be pedestal construction of apartments next to it to allow parking or other uses. It would be explained to those once the proposal would be agreed upon by the council, what that would look like going out into the development community, that the decision has been made that this is the existing use, and they would understand that, and then they would draft their proposals accordingly.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It's the fact that if we're going to do that, and we're going to put it out there that they could potentially develop the whole property, then we might possibly be back in this same room or the other room talking about another adult recreation center. So,
but if that's, again, I think what I just heard was that
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Councilwoman.
Right,
I'm just playing devil's advocate on the part of the what if.
Right. So I think that it would be made known that this is the use of this particular facility.
Yes.
And again, if they feel like, well, we need shared parking, this can be, it can be advertised as an amenity. If you live here, you have access to these resources. Or if the building can be expanded or built upon, pretty much what we've heard earlier from one of our constituents, capitalizing on the opportunity of a private developer adding to the facility, at no cost to the city, but cost to the private developer.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Stewart did say
to add an additional amenity.
We do. We see it as a complement to whatever the development would be.
Yeah, and Jim told me that you can build, I think, 1 or 2 stories on that structure above it. So, Councilwoman Littlejohn, more questions from you?
Just a question for Tripp. When we talk about, and I heard you say, you are passionate about this dedicated time. Mm-hmm. So if we at Bradley Center, and I'm saying pickleball is usually played at what time?
Most of the time, we have one night time, but most of the time it's during the day.
So we already have dedicated open gym for a lot of the young people in that area. And so how can we promise that the seniors are going to have this? And I know that's why you went there, dedicated time. So now you're taking away from people who are used to coming there playing basketball and other things. So I can't sit up here and say that that's going to be concrete. That would be unfair to the other people who have been utilizing that facility.
We will still have open gym at that facility, and we'll have open gym at all the other facilities as well.
That's not what I'm asking. If we go with what Jennifer is saying, we got a dedicated time, so we taking away time that has been utilized for just regular people that live in the neighborhood. That's what we doing. We taking away a dedicated time. She wants dedicated. I can hear good.
We would
So
take
if we
away
do that-
if we give that a dedicated time, we would have another time for open gym.
You ain't hearing what I'm saying. It's open for residents now, all the time. There is no dedicated time for pickleball.
There is not.
At Bradley.
There is,
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
senior pickleball.
Okay, not senior pickleball. So you want it to be dedicated
I
for
want to
the
make sure
senior.
that senior time is protected as well.
Exactly.
But that's just, I mean, we're beating a dead horse here. We have enough time, and we can schedule it, we can shift things around, and people can get used to a new schedule of doing things. So, Councilman Kasupius, you have one more question?
Yes, sir. Just one question. Christy, you brought up the United Way shared parking agreement. Is there a possibility of connecting the 107 Broad to that parking lot, whether it's a covered walkway, whether it's physical cars being able to cross over for parking purposes?
They are adjacent, so I don't see a reason why I wouldn't.
Thank you.
Are you asking about the 107 parking or the United Way parking?
The connectivity to United Way.
Right, which I learned in this process, because I wasn't thinking about those boundaries. But yes, this would all, just to give a visual to the public, this would all could potentially connect to the United Way shared parking that we have, the public parking that we have there.
Yeah, we just have to build a staircase right there. Would we have to put a lift in, be ADA compliant?
The ramp.
A ramp, okay. I don't think we have any more questions. Councilwoman Barber, you're the chairperson. What do you need us to do?
At this time, as it states in our report, we did have the committee voted 3-0 to recommend approval of the RFQ seeking private development submissions for the redevelopment of 107, which that has been, I feel like, been explained. 101, 115, and 17 South Broad Street. So that's a recommendation from the committee. So we need a motion.
That is a motion.
That is
a motion. Yes. So that
That comes as a
recommendation is
motion.
coming out.
And I second the motion.
So I got it. So I thought we were going to ask the senior committee. So we're going to bypass the senior committee?
So, no, that's a good question. I think what has been stated by different people, well, especially by Tripp, and even in the report that he did.
No, I'm talking about these people who spoke here tonight.
It would not be. This isn't the venue. This isn't the space for them to give.
No,
right?
I understand.
So we talked about this being done in phases. You have a 1A, 1B. Again, this is about the building, about the facility, what the future of that facility is, right?
Right.
What happens within that building can certainly be determined by the senior committee members, can determine. If they don't want ceramics and they want
Basket weaving.
Basket weaving or knitting or
No, I understand
crochet.
that. I'm not talking about programming. I'm
But
just saying,
that's what-
like this in itself, we didn't even take it to the seniors. I'm just saying, like literally, we didn't.
No, because the seniors depend on us to make an informed decision.
I understand that.
Right? So you can vote for it. I mean, that we all have that opportunity. You can vote it up or vote it down.
Go ahead.
We have
So
we have a motion on the floor. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Curlin. Is there any more discussion?
Well, I do have one question, please. Sorry. Okay. I get the use of the property. Does this vote have anything to do, because I know Tripp gave 3 options for the current ARC, tear it down, et cetera. That's something that will happen later, right? What does that process look like? Just curious.
Sure.
Christy and I have already been working on a draft RFP for the property at the ARC and the property surrounding it that we would work on. If this move is made for this use to move to 107, then we would start working on that and bring that to you at Facilities Management Committee at a later time after we know that the move has been made.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Stepp, you have the floor.
That made me think, because I personally don't want to tear the building down either. But it said that a performing arts center was not applicable. Can you answer why that was not applicable? Was it just because the space itself right now is not, wouldn't work, or if we added to it, it would work, or?
So the very lengthy study that we received from Stuart Cooper Newell talks about the challenges of the existing structure still having to be addressed with ADA compliancy and all of the things that come with a building that was constructed in 1935, along with trying to accommodate a performing arts center. But yeah, to your point, you would have to build upon the existing footprint to accommodate a performing arts center. Therefore, there was no proposal made with cost estimates to be able to accomplish that in the existing footprint of the building.
Okay. I mean, that answers my question. It was, you know, with it being right there in the Fuse district and it being sports, entertainment, the little theater being behind it and some lots not being used beside of it, just didn't know if that was ever looked at any further, but we could look at that further, maybe.
If this council would like to provide guidance to staff about looking at locating a use, and that's discussed and voted upon, then staff will certainly carry out that.
I mean, I know that is further down the road, it would need to be a private public venture, but I just don't know if that's a great spot for it. Do we go ahead and sell it, or do we reserve it? That's my question. I know we're not ready to move forward with building a performing arts center right now because we don't have the money or the partners to do that. But do we look at preserving that space is my question.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a question?
Really have more of a statement, just so people understand what this motion is. This motion is for an RFQ. Has nothing to do with the moving of the ARC to the 107 site. That's in the next motion. Okay, thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's 5-1.
And thank you. The second recommendation from the committee is to approve the renovation and to move the ARC to 107 South Broad Street.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Discussion. I think that we moving too swift, and we got a state of emergency right here in our community, and we have not even discussed the unhoused population. Right now, the seniors have a place. Who don't have a place is unhoused people. So I can't comfortably sit up here and act like, okay, I'm a senior myself, but the seniors have a place. Unhoused people don't. And that facility was built for the unhoused. And so for me, it is conviction over convenience. So I am not going to be silent about, no, we didn't sit in here and talked about it. We got an unhoused population problem, and that could be used. And we have a potential, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Pastor Vicky Spargo has sent out an email that's, I don't know how many of you all responded to it, but it will help those in need, and it is not a shelter. I think that we need to pause, and if we can all up here agree with Sister Catherine, Sister Mary, and whomever, it is this. Shame on us that we are not looking at who needs a place. There is a want and there is a need. Right now, what supersedes a want is a need for the unhoused. And we together can come together and agree. The least of these right now are the pressing issue in this city. It is not seniors.
Well, Cheryl, almost a majority, over 40% of our population are seniors. So we don't take care of our seniors?
No, did I say that? Don't put words in my mouth. Do they have a place right now?
Not a safe place.
Wait a minute.
And
do they have a
place for their abilities?
Do they have a place? They have a place, and unhoused people do not.
Councilwoman, both of y'all, okay? So the issue We have a motion, we have a second, and we are in discussion. But we are going to discuss, and all of us have talked individually about the center and through Councilman Kasupias told me before the meeting today, he said, well, could we use the ARC or whatever we're going to call it through the, didn't you say August 31st or something like that?
Yes, but that is something that is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's a fluid thing because our staff needs to go forward. It's not that we're not going to do this, it's just not in the order that well, I'm not going to say should have been. It could have been. And so the motion is for our staff to move forward. Then in the next item here, I2, we are going to discuss the cooling station. And everybody knows how I feel about that. So let's get through this motion and then come to item I2, because everybody, I would say the vast majority of us that I've spoken with everybody is that we could use that for, Mayor Pro Tem told me a couple weeks ago he doesn't have a problem with using it for a couple months. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
I think we'll have that conversation.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So we have a motion.
No, I asked and I was cut off.
No, y'all were getting in an argument, so ask your
we're
questions.
not arguing, so I'm going to finish with my statement.
Okay.
It is this. Why are we going to make a motion on something? The cooling station on house situation should be discussed first. But it was orchestrated this way for a reason. So why are we going to rush to a decision that we know that could affect the unhoused? I'm saying let's table it until we discuss the cooling station then.
So we have we have a motion.
That's her point.
No.
Yeah, we have a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion in a second.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Go right ahead.
at this point. So all those in favor of the motion that has been made, we have a duly seconded motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's 5-1. Moving on to item I2, discussion regarding the jointly sponsored cooling station.
Oh, we haven't got to the consent agenda.
Why do y'all?
Have you finished your report? There's one last.
Yeah, there's
yes,
one less.
that
I'm
is
sorry.
my, yeah,
Yes.
we just had those two
Yes.
actions. That is the, I'm finished with my report. Thank you.
See, I was trying to get out of here quicker again. Next up, we have the consent agenda. There are 11 items on the consent agenda this evening. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda? Does anybody need to have discussion on any of the 11 items? Having no discussion on any of those items, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a duly second. We have a second by Councilwoman Barber. Councilwoman has stepped away. If we take the vote, since she's not sitting here, her vote
It's in
will
the
count in
affirmative.
Affirmative.
Okay. So all those in favor of the consent agenda? It's unanimous. Now, moving on. City attorney got my paperwork disorganized. Now we're going to have the regular agenda. We have 3 items today. The first up is going to be a public hearing of the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment, file number 202500281. Subject hearing involves a request to amend Section 2.7, terms defined in this ordinance and related sections of Chapter 7, Use and Building Lot Standards of the Unified Development Ordinance, to allow uses classified as manufactured goods by right or by right with supplemental regulations in the general industrial zoning districts. Our presenter will be Mr. Joe Gates. He is our Assistant Planning Director, and Mr. Hicks is here. And Mr. Hicks may join Joe if he chooses so. Thank you, sir. Floor is yours.
Thank you,
wait a
Mayor.
minute. Public hearing is now open.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor and members of council.
I'm here tonight to bring to you guys some text amendments that came about as a matter of your combined meeting with Gaston County. And so what the Planning Department is bringing before you this evening are some amendments to address primarily industrial development in the city of Gastonia. We did partner with Donnie Hicks with Economic Development with Gaston County, as well as our own Economic Development Department with Christy Chris, and we believe that the amendments here before you tonight are a great first step into continuing to make Gastonia a great place for development to come. And again, we're working to kind of modernize and continue just to be a great city and wanting to be a place where industrial development can happen. So the two areas that I'll address tonight where the amendments are being proposed are going to be in Chapter 2. So this is the chapter for our definitions. And so one of the primary things when we audited the ordinance, along with, again, with the county's help, is identifying industries and areas that are typically kind of coming to our area. What are they looking for, and what are ways that we can review our ordinance and try to make that the kind of the best process that we can, because as you know, a lot of these big companies, they're doing worldwide searches, U.S. searches, and we want to be at the top of that list every single time. And so we believe that these amendments, specifically here this evening, will accomplish that goal. And so the first one, again, will be in the definition section, and it's how we classify what we call manufactured goods. So we have a three-tiered system. And so in reviewing these, the Donnie Hicks with the county helped us identify areas that he is seeing as the economic development, thank you, director there, and so we are looking to take 2 or 3 of these categories and move them over into what we called Class 1. So Class 1, what it would do for things that are already within the city. So if there's property that's already zoned I-2, this amendment would move it over into the Type 1, which means it would be a use by right with supplemental regulation. So what it would allow it to stay in an administrative process. All the same rules still apply, the buffers, the parking lot, all those things. But it would be somewhat of a shortening of a time.
Folks, we'll get back to this discussion underway in Gastonia. Keep in mind the cooling center discussion is actually the next item on this agenda, but we do want to make sure that we're keeping you weather alert throughout the evening. As we mentioned, some potential flash flooding concerns, so we just want to make sure y'all are being safe. We have meteorologist Becca Birdsall back here in the Live Impact News studio. Hopefully things continue to trend in a good direction for us.
Yes, that's exactly what we're seeing, so a good update to make, because I do think that we have been spared by some of the worst weather. I'd say some of the worst weather that the state is seeing is especially off towards Greensboro, where they are having some ongoing flash flooding. So that was going to be our main concern going into tonight. But again, it looks like still so far so good. And I think that we won't have to carry this weather alert much longer. But of course, we did have that strong to severe thunderstorm over towards Iredell County, producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, as well as some small-sized hail. And that has almost completely weakened out. Still got some downpours over towards Love Valley, Turnersburg, Eagles Mill, all the way up over towards Moxville, alongside 77 and I-40. But you could see just on that radar loop from the past hour, yeah, that is weakened out considerably. Now only around 3 lightning strikes associated with that system. And then this shower continues to dissipate across East Charlotte, producing some light rainfall over there. Otherwise, south of the Charlotte area, this is what we got on Doppler radar. Pretty much nothing. So that is the good news as storms continue to weaken out. And just one lone downpour over towards Wadesboro. Then north of Charlotte, got a couple of light showers that have still developed over towards Sherrills Ford, Maiden, Lincolnton, Cherville, all the way down over towards Shelby. But you can notice the trend of this. Some of those downpours, especially over towards Shelby, as we do that radar loop, started out with some darker oranges, reds, and is now weakening more to a green. So indicating some light rain over there. Notice the direction of these. These are slow moving. Again, worst of the weather is definitely off to the east. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, all getting hammered and battered with rain that continues to fall. I'd say it's all said and done, they'll probably likely see over 3 inches with this system. Of course, this is a flood-prone area because they have been seeing rounds and rounds of rain for this last week ahead, including this is now their 3rd flash flood warning. So ongoing flooding concerns over there, but right now at this point, it looks like we have been spared. Zooming out though, here's what we've been seeing over the past probably every 3, 4, 5, 6 hours across the Carolinas. Just that typical summer-like pattern thanks to that Bermuda high well off to the east. Now, the rainfall that we did see over the last couple of hours have packed a punch, especially over towards the Mecklenburg area. Picked up around 3/4 to about 1.5 inches at some of the bullseye spots. That also continued over in towards Gaston County as well. Iredell County picking up 1 to maybe even up to 2 inches of rainfall. Same story over towards Salisbury, where they had that strong thunderstorm that did produce a lot of rain, and they did have that was the one flood advisory that we had across the entire area. It was that flood advisory that was issued in Rowan County for Salisbury for some nuisance flooding. So overall, yes, we are still under that excessive rainfall impact for tonight as we head into the next couple of hours, but I'd say that threat is slowly dissipating. Get outside now if you got any evening plans. Got a couple of light showers out there, but otherwise, that is it. 78 degrees, a nice view with some clouds clearing over towards our Dallas camera has made for overall a nice sunset. Dew point is 74, probably still making it feel sticky out there, feeling like 81. So dew point still lower to middle 70s. We'll keep that as we head into the work week ahead as well. Heat index feeling like 90 in Lancaster, and it is 8:30, feeling like 90 over towards Albemarle. So that gives you an idea of the tropical-like air and why these storms were able to become so strong because of how much moisture there was in the atmosphere. We'll carry these rain chances till about midnight tonight, then tapering off very quickly after that. Just because of how saturated the ground is, there will be a potential for some areas of patchy dense fog or low-lying clouds to develop by tomorrow morning. Just not going to be much. We do have more storm chances in the forecast. Daily storm chances, in fact, through the weekend. It's just not going to be nearly as impressive in the setup that we were seeing for today. Just be aware you'll be dodging hit or miss showers or thunderstorms for that Charlotte FC game. We'll do it all again for Thursday as well. So again, staying weather alert for the rest of tonight. Those rain chances are tapering off pretty quickly over the next half hour, and so far so good. But we'll be keeping an eye on anything that does redevelop out there.
Yeah, we get you back at 11, right, for the evening?
Yes.
Late evening news?
Yes.
Great. Okay, well, keep us posted. Glad to hear it's working out for us. Definitely thinking of the folks in Greensboro. I know they've been through it, so
for sure.
Hopefully things turn out okay for them. All right, Becca, thank you.
Sounds good.
Folks, we want to get back to Gastonia. We left them when they were discussing the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment, so City Council is still on that item. Keep in mind the next item on the agenda is the controversial cooling station, so stick with us here as we follow this discussion here on Live Impact News.
Plan and any applicable duly adopted small area plans and is reasonable and in the public's interest.
Second. We have a second by Councilwoman Stepp. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Public hearing is closed. Item I2, discussion regarding the jointly sponsored cooling station. The presenter will be Mr. Michael Peoples.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Barry's helping me prepare a presentation, and hopefully we can use this clicker here effectively and change slides. So we're going to begin with the original plan as staff had discussed, because leading up to the events of getting a cooling station off the ground, there really hasn't been and haven't been conversations, direction specifically given to staff from council about the directive of creating a cooling station, first of all. Secondly, in the past, this has been a function of Gaston County along with gyms, and this hasn't been a function of the city of Gastonia. In the past, we have not participated. It's been located in Gastonia, but on county facilities. So I will begin with that. Conversation amongst staff had started a little earlier, but a plan was agreed upon by staff on Thursday the 26th and implemented on Friday the 27th. And that partnership was between Gaston County and gyms, setting up a cooling station with their equipment, and then providing periodic check-ins at the cooling station. City of Gastonia's responsibility would be to provide a place for that station to be located. HealthNet Gaston would be called and then hopefully would coordinate volunteers and donations as needed. That was implemented on Friday, June 27th. Current plan, from all the things that took place between that Friday the 27th, to when we arrived at Monday, July 7th, and then July 8th, city staff opened the city-owned facility located at 107 for a temporary indoor cooling station due to existing conditions exceeding those of an established DMARC of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services heat health alert system. All right, city staff then continued to offer the use of the property outdoors when the heat index was between 90 and 95 degrees, or the facility indoors when the heat index exceeded the standards of 95 degrees or above, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. until we met tonight to discuss further direction by you to staff on what to do in moving forward. So this service is provided in conjunction with our partners with gyms and Health Net Gaston, who's the city's contractual partner, provide community outreach, solicit volunteers, and they have done that and would continue to do that. Just a little glimpse into our operation as we did operate indoors is the hours being between 10 and 7, 9 hours. Parks and Rec staff were redirected from their positions that they currently have in their whatever offices or spaces of work. 3 full-time employees at $40 per hour. This is approximate. I'm not doing your cents now. I'm just rounding up. Community engagement staff, 2 staff members on average. And this varied a little bit throughout the days that the service was provided, but we'll say 2 hours per day. Gastonia Police Department was asked to staff with 1 officer, and we're also just going to approximate that at $50 an hour as well. And then custodial staff at our employees of the city to come in, 2 staff members, $35 an hour for 2 hours there, so therefore approximately $70. Total cost about $1,700 per day to run an indoor cooling station at 107 South Broad Street. So just a little glimpse as to our outdoor operation, which we have also ran, supplemented by equipment that the city has provided on top of what gyms provided originally. So staff has provided tables and chairs and additional fans and also some tents where that wasn't provided before. So in order to operate it outdoors, Parks and Rec staff time would take about 4 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon to close, and secure equipment that would be used in the proposal that I'll present here in a second. Porta-johns have been proposed or been provided by Gaston County at their expense.
No, those are provided by me at no expense.
Okay, not by the city of Gastonia, so thank you for that, but maybe that's something then we'll further discuss about outdoor porta-johns. So total cost there, not at city's expense, $160 per day to operate a cooling station outdoors at 107. So the plan moving forward, provide an outdoor cooling station in the parking lot at 107, along with our partners, Gaston County Health Net Gaston, on days that exceed 90 degrees Monday through Sunday. Advertise additional locations located in the city of Gastonia that are available for temporary refuge from extreme conditions under normal operating hours. So those are located here. This is a community resource guide that has been created. I'll go to the second page of it. Cooling and warming stations, things that are available on normal operating hours that are staffed, that do have clean water through water fountains and public restrooms. We have our community centers, 5 of those. Of course, Parks and Rec Department has swimming pools and splash pads. Also, Gaston County Main Public Library are available, and then you'll see the other services here: food pantry, shower, laundry services, and all the other Gaston County resources, substance abuse assistance, medical resources. All of those things are available already and staffed and appropriately budgeted for within the county. This is the recommendation moving forward, is to provide an outdoor station, better equipped with supplemental equipment from the city. One of the portable air conditioner units we have asked to borrow from the management company of the Caramount Health Park, and then supplement with some additional misting fans. We can even use the misting truck that does belong to the city of Gastonia that has been currently leased or lent out to the ball team that is located now not at the Caramount Health Park facility, but repaired and located where we can deploy it. And then also to purchase a larger tent and provide tables and chairs and set that up every single day, Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that cost would be approximately capital cost around $4,000 to be able to buy this equipment. And then we can use that equipment, of course, after cooling station is no longer needed once we get out of extreme conditions. And then we'll still utilize our partnership with gyms and Gaston County and HealthNet Gaston as we need volunteers. But this would simply be an unmanned cooling station for the most part, just being checked on throughout the day to make sure that water is provided and that everyone that is utilizing the service would be okay. Just to talk a little bit about utilization, the 5 days that it's been used, on average, approximately 28, ranging from 58 at one point in time down to 11 people actually today. So that's the report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, at this point, Councilwoman Littlejohn.
My question is, 2 weeks ago when this whole saga started, and on the text thread between everybody on this dais and Jim Gallagher, y'all told me that the lead agency was handling all of this. Now it looks like we have taken over. So we got money, continuum of care, and the COC, all of that, and HealthNet Gaston. But now we micromanaging an agency that was given money. This right here plan, okay, this is your plan. I'm asking Michael.
I understand, but the information of what you just said is incorrect.
Okay, well, let me finish, and you can correct me after I finish.
Yeah, I mean, but let's put the correct information out.
Okay, so the correct information is, I was told in lengthy on text that a plan was in place. And so I'm going to speak to it. So the plan that was in place is not this. The plan that was in place that I took pictures of was 2 fans that was embarrassing, humiliating to the unhoused.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
No, we're going to talk. Let you finish.
But you've talked about it.
Y'all
so let's
do not talk over each other.
Yeah,
or I will. Y'all talk not over each other.
I understand, but
I'm
not keep
finished.
saying the same thing.
Well, maybe if I keep saying the same thing and I'm highlighting neglect, that it's gotten some people's attention.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Can somebody else talk about it?
No, I'm not finished, and you're not going to cut me off. Nobody up here is. I got the floor, so I'm going to finish. This plan, I love it, but it wasn't in place.
It could have been.
Wait, I'm not finished. You got a lead agency that received money. And I'm going to say this. I don't care what the name of the agency is, but if they were tasked to do this back in January to...
They weren't. No, they weren't.
So guess what? They were not. So it fell through the cracks.
No, can we let's talk about facts.
Okay, well, let me just throw this out.
No, you've talked, I mean, come on.
Wait a minute,
come on.
hold up.
Can anybody else talk?
Yes, after I finish, because I still got the floor.
Well, call the question then.
Call the question is this. I'll call it. 2 fans on a fence. That was the plan. That's what we saw. That is what this community saw. It was, I'm telling you, disrespectful. Now I want you to correct what was disrespectful and make that right.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
Councilwoman Barber can.
No, because we can't continue we cannot continue to give, or this is why people are confused.
Yeah.
I am.
Because we're giving wrong information.
Let me address that issue. I spoke with the board member from the Continuum of Care and HealthNet Gaston today at length with our city attorney. And We had a very good conversation, and everybody that sits up here in the community knows that I was very, 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 and I could say it 100 times, pissed off about what was there, because it made us look like fools, okay? We can all agree on that it was not very acceptable, okay? So at this point, we can't rehash what has happened. We all know that it was unacceptable, and amongst ourselves, I've talked to everybody on this dais except for Councilwoman Barber. I didn't want to bother her because she looked like she was having fun down in Florida. And we've all said that we want it indoors going forward once it hits a certain temperature, and then outdoors after it's at a certain temperature.
We still need to correct the incorrect information.
I understand that. I understand that. I'm going to get there, okay? Because the assumption that I was under was that the continuum of care, as the lead agency, was supposed to have put this together. It was their responsibility to step up. I was under that impression in January when I sat on the thing and said, if this happens in January, I got a problem. Well, I didn't have the correct information, and that's on me. So I apologize. I didn't have the correct information. So, but going forward, I spoke with the board member. She and I talked, and we're going to bring some people together and make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because I'm not going to sit up here and have us screaming at each other, because I'll call a recess for hours, because at this point, yes, I was extremely upset, still am, because it was unacceptable. But I don't go backwards, I don't go sideways. Let's go forward and figure out what we're going to do. We all know it was unacceptable. We all agree. I had bad information myself.
Can we let the community know what the bad information was?
Well, it was that the lead agency was supposed to have put all this together, and it was incorrect information. I mean, it is a collaborative effort. We need to have more than one meeting a quarter. 4 times a year is not enough. I'd say every month or every other month, so that this doesn't happen again, because it's totally unacceptable. Most people that are sitting here will agree it was unacceptable. So we talked. I've talked to every one of y'all, and most of y'all said that until today I was provided information that Chief Lampier said that their thing was 90 degrees, it should be indoors. So what I had discussed with most of y'all was the fact that if it's 90 degrees or above, we would be outside. This was before I got the information from the gentleman at the county. Between 90 and 95, it would be outside in the grove, which is a little bit cooler. And then if it was projected to be above 95, we were going to go indoors. But after getting the information I got from I guess he's the Director of Emergency Services for the county, he said that it's 90 degrees. Now, where he got that, I don't know, but he is the head emergency management person for the county. Not us, but for the county. So what I would like to see, with the support of the council, is when we talked 2 weeks ago, we were all somewhat in agreement that, because we heard the presentation earlier about the proposed ARC. There's still stuff that needs to be done. And the part of the building that is being used could be done last, and the rest of it be done. As I said, Councilman Kasupius, before we came in here today, he pulled me aside. He said, well, Mayor, what do you think if we do... He said 90 out, 9. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I'd like to clarify if I can. Okay. Someone tonight said it doesn't matter whose idea it is.
Correct.
The point is, it needs to get done.
Correct.
So I don't want to be up here, this happened, she said this, I said that, etc. So we saw the original plan, Plan 1, and now, multiple balls were dropped, county, gyms, COC, us, whoever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who dropped the ball. But it failed, and we have already said that. So going to your point, what I would like to see, and I'm just one, would be the proposal, the outdoor for 90 to 94, I guess, anything over 90. And then if possible, and if the council would agree, to utilize the indoors above 95, which is a lot of the information we got from North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services on those days that it's 95 and over. Until, I would say, August 31st. I get it, it's 6 weeks. It may put us behind a little bit on what we've already discussed today, but that's kind of just for clarification, I wanted to say that.
Councilwoman Stepp.
I would like to, before we move forward, and I do agree we need to move forward, I still think it's important that the community knows the true story of what happened to get us to this point. We believe in transparency, so I believe that that's an important part of this. So I'm going to, if it's okay, I would like for Councilwoman Barber to continue what she was trying to say.
Well, first of all, the erroneous information that has been, and this is what the mayor was referencing, is that the continuum of care gets this huge amount of money to do this type of work. And that is not the case. Anyone that deals with federal government or even state government know that when you get certain dollars, those dollars are very specific as to what you can and cannot do with those dollars. You can't just spend it any kind of way you want to spend. There was, again, I think we have to think about the Salvation Army closed. This is the first summer that we didn't have the Salvation Army. I believe in years past, the gyms, the county has worked with the Salvation Army to provide a cooling station. As it was already stated, the cooling station was on county property. Okay, this year, when those partners came together to discuss the future of or what the cooling station could look like, the city, we had the property, basically. We had the 107 property. And the other partners contributed what they were able to contribute, okay? We all agreed. Again, I didn't even get to make it out there before I saw it on Facebook. I didn't even get to make it out to the cooling station before I saw what it looked like on Councilwoman Littlejohn's live, So again, to how we got to this point, and it's all about communication. It's all about communication. I've been left out. All these conversations and things that I'm listening and playing catch up because I have been left out of these conversations. So when it was said earlier, you only saw 2 people, well, that was because I don't know about anybody else, but I wasn't privy to the conversations. I was left out of that. Okay? So again, I don't want people to think that some organization has all this money to do this work. That is not true. That's not true. It takes us pulling our resources together in order to make something like this happen. Had there been a conversation and communication with this council to say, hey, this is not good enough, then I feel like we wouldn't even be here. We could have done something different. We could have done something better. As opposed to, to the way that it went. It didn't have to go that way. So that's why we are where we are. Now, again, cooling stations, warming stations, I call them supplements. Those are supplements over the real issue, the deeper issue here, which is shelter for our homeless community. And it don't have to be at 107. It don't have to be there. It could be anywhere in our community. But then what you gonna run into? You run into NIMBY, not in my backyard. Because see, that's the other stuff that nobody else is, that we have to contend with. But the public doesn't perhaps know, except for those who are emailing and calling and saying, we don't want it. We don't want it here. We don't want it there. So we have to strike a balance, and we have to figure out the appropriate place to be able to do that. Again, we shouldn't be arguing or making a big situation over the cooling station or the warming station. What we really need to be talking about is a permanent shelter for our homeless community, which is what I said in the May meeting, the first May meeting, and then I was mocked in the second in my absence. I'm sincerely saying that, and I'm going to continue to say it. That's what the conversation needs to be about. Okay, we got to keep things in perspective. The cooling station quickly went to day center services.
Well, certainly a heated discussion we're seeing out of Gastonia tonight regarding those controversial cooling centers. This is a discussion that is going to continue. As you can see, we will actually be turning you over to our next hour of programming here on WCNC Plus, but we will have the very latest on this discussion on the news at 11 o'clock. So keep it here throughout the rest of the evening on WCNC Plus streaming. With that, we'll say goodbye for Live Impact News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Vanessa Rufus.